The retatrutide results reveal critical insights for weight loss strategies.
It's actually known as Reta online in the gray market circles that it's being used in already. And I wanted to go through the pros, cons, and real data here for you in this short video. So why this exists is I get asked all the time about these new shots, Ozempic, Mounjaro, and now Reta or retatrutide. The newest and strongest one on the block, but it does have its trade-offs. So the short version is it does work. It's a tool. Not a magic wand like anything else. You still have to execute a good, solid training plan, and nutrition plan, but it makes things a lot easier, but it can also make you smaller and weaker. Like a lot of the gray market language was that this is the one that prevents muscle loss. When in the actual research previous to this trial, for every 9 kilograms of fat loss, you were losing 6 kilograms of lean mass for the average person. So I'm going to show you how to negate that, but there's no free biological lunch here, and the same applies. So what is it? It's a once weekly injection, same family as the previous versions, but it hits 3 receptors. So GLP-1, that's the one that kills appetite. In some ways, it doesn't kill appetite as much as its predecessors because it's a mix of these 3. So you're not getting as big a bolus dose of GLP-1, but GIP is what was in tirzepatide. That improves how your body handles insulin. So you better absorb carbs, get different fullness signals. And then the new one is glucagon. So this is actually the one that, technically speaking, increases resting metabolism. You burn more calories without lifting a finger. Is it a huge difference? Not necessarily, but every edge helps. And the downside of that is it does raise heart rate. We'll talk about that in a second. So those first 2 knock calories down, the third pushes calories out. So that's why the numbers in research are showing better weight loss than its predecessors. Okay, so it's still not FDA approved. Somewhere in 2027, most likely. These things take a lot of time, but compounding pharmacies are obviously selling it. The gray market's obviously selling it. So this is the weight loss numbers based off the dosages used, as my dog jumps off my desk. So 1 milligram, still 8% weight loss over 48 weeks. 4 milligrams, 17%. 8 milligrams, 22.8%. And 12 milligrams over 48 weeks, 24. So they extended that trial, and it was upwards of 28.7% weight loss in the 12 milligram dose. Okay. Most people in the gray market who are, fairly healthy, they're already just kind of supplementing a good plan, are 1 to 2 milligrams a week. They start to get side effects beyond that. This is obviously a different demographic going through the trials who are clinically obese, not necessarily actively training. Their nutrition plan isn't quite as dialed. So the dose reflects that. All right. Nonetheless, even the lowest dose produces weight loss without changing anything else. That's significant. But 2 people should really be considering using this. So those that have clinical obesity or BMI above 27 or some sort of condition like type 2 diabetes. So purely fat loss for health. Not to get on a magazine cover, but to get to a place where you're going to live longer. And that certainly helps people do that. Whereas the longevity space, not necessarily looking to drop a pile of fat, but you can take a small dose of this and actually improve fasting insulin. Maybe you have a family history of cardiovascular disease, high ApoB, which obviously is linked to negative things like cardiovascular disease. And this vastly improves blood markers, even at low doses. So that is a real positive to this. Certainly you can go down this road if you're a biohacker, a longevity person, not just trying to lose a ton of weight. So non-negotiables, this is no different than with any other of these drugs. You have to get things dialed in nutrition-wise, or you're going to lose as much or close to as much muscle as body fat. And then you look like a bag of milk, you get compromised metabolism, and you have to be on these drugs forever. So protein, it's not going to preserve muscle on its own, but aiming for a gram per pound of body weight, clear evidence that helps. Obviously, it's harder to do that when your appetite is so suppressed. So find the minimum effective dose of Reta that you can use that doesn't prevent you from hitting your protein goal. Okay. Lift weights. Like that's not optional. Without that, you will lose muscle, and even if your diet's dialed. Okay. And we don't want you looking softer. We want you looking leaner, stronger, with a high resting metabolism. Walk daily. Movement's going to help keep your metabolism awake, but there's so many benefits to that. Prioritizing sleep, which in some ways this may challenge that a bit, because of the glucagon effect. You have a higher resting heart rate, maybe harder to settle down at night. Some people really run into insomnia at higher doses, so careful with that. And then water. You're going to get more thirsty than you even would normally and dehydrate yourself if you don't hit that 3 liters a day. Okay. So most common mistakes, people chasing higher doses just for the sake of it. Like, find your minimum effective dose where your cravings are suppressed. You can control your appetite, but you can still eat enough to lose weight at the right weight, which is right, 1% a week at most. Okay. For example, 8 milligrams led to almost 22% weight loss, 12 milligrams, 24%. So 50% more drug is certainly going to invite more side effects for a 1.4 point gain in weight loss. So even in those with obesity, there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to the dose. So again, skipping protein in the gym, we talked about stopping cold turkey. You're going to get a rebound effect, really heightened appetite that you obviously forgot you could get, and that leads to reverting back to square one. Ignoring your hormones, like, you need to optimize these things, get blood work done, because even a drug like this, on top of broken plumbing, not going to work quite as it would if your system is optimized before. And then a lot of times the water fluctuations can be a bit confusing, like any weight loss plan, but weekly averages is the key. Photos, how clothes fit, and how your blood work improves. Okay. Side effects, no different than with the previous generations, a little bit less so with nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, but common after you increase the dose. Right? So slowly titrate up is key. This is the big one that's new to this one in particular, is the higher resting heart rate, and it can be as much as 10 beats per minute higher than normal. And if you're already running a high heart rate, 90 beats per minute, 100 beats per minute, that would be the time to talk to your doctor about this, because it might not be safe to add this to an already taxed cardiovascular system. Taurine, at least in, I don't know if you can see that, taurine, 5 to 10 grams a day. That's a significant dose, but that helps to negate this effect, according to the internet, according to people who are well-versed in this space. This is a weird one too from this one in particular. Skin tingling, feels like a sunburn, but 1 in 5 people at the high doses, topical magnesium may help. It can really get to a point where people actually came off the drug because it was that persistent though. So everyone's different. Blood pressure drops, so that's a good thing if you have high or above normal blood pressure. But if you're already on meds for that, something to certainly discuss with your doctor, right? Because it could bring your numbers too low. So ultimately, yes, this one is better than the previous generation, but not to the degree that if you're using tirzepatide and you're having good results, it maybe isn't worth the extra 6% weight loss here because of the increased heart rate, potential skin irritation, and having to like retitrate up, etc. Okay, and some people oftentimes don't get the same appetite suppressant on Reta, and if you're the type that, well, should I say this? Appetite's always been your Achilles heel. Cravings, maybe you're not that dialed in bodybuilder. Tirzepatide might actually be better for you. And that's come out in some of the anecdotal evidence on the gray market that, I switched to Reta. I ate more. I kind of canceled out the potential benefits, went back on tirzepatide because I found the appetite suppressant was better. Okay. Because again, it's spread out over glucagon. With glucagon included, the dose would have to be increased to get the same level of GLP-1. And that's the downside. All right. So again, like anything, this is a tool. It can help you better adhere to a plan, certainly, because your appetite's suppressed and you get a bit more of a metabolism uptick from the glucagon. But certainly get blood work done, sort out your hormones first, fix your training and nutrition, please. Then add the peptide. It's just like supplements. It's like that extra 5%. I'd argue that these are probably the extra 10 to 20%. They really make a difference. But use it as a tool that's implemented into the right plan. And plan the taper before you start. Like, unless you plan to pay for these drugs forever, you need to have a plan to get off them eventually. And that's why habits become so important, to build a routine that lasts beyond the drug. Okay. Because path B is just like haphazardly get on this. Don't change anything about what you're doing, especially if you're not doing anything by the book right now, because you'll lose weight, lose muscle, and then regain the weight, end up oftentimes worse than you started. Okay. So work with a prescriber. We certainly have connections that we could point you in the right direction to. Obviously not something I prescribe, but we can build our plan around the right medical treatment and kind of kill two birds with one stone, get great results. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want this guide, type Reta below or send me an email at mitch@mitchcover.com or mitchcover.com.